Hello, hello, hello. Minimalist Gourmet here. Today I'll be teaching you how to make a classic red velvet cupcake with homemade cream cheese frosting. That's right, there's no boxes or cartons here. We're making everything from scratch. So let's get started. Traditionally, this cake is made with 1 cup of room temperature buttermilk plus 1 teaspoon of white vinegar. Unfortunately, buttermilk just isn't available where I live, so I'm going to make a substitute by using 1 cup of room temperature whole milk and adding in 2 teaspoons of white vinegar. This makes a great substitute for buttermilk and will work great in this recipe. We're going to add the vinegar into our milk, stir it up, and set it aside while we mix up the rest of our ingredients. To start our wet ingredients, we'll have 1/2 a cup, that's 1 stick of butter at room temperature. We're going to add 1½ cups of white sugar on top. And yes, sugar is considered a wet ingredient. Now we need to blend this very well. I'll be using a hand mixer, but a hand whisk or a stand mixer will work just fine. You want to make sure to completely blend this until it is nice and fluffy. Once it looks like this, you know you can start adding in your eggs, but we're going to do these one at a time. So crack in your first egg and mix it into the creamed butter and sugar until you don't see any traces of it left. Once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and crack in your second egg and repeat the process so you have a nice light and fluffy creamed butter, egg, and sugar mixture. Of course, as you go along, you do want to scrape down your bowl and make sure to scrape the bottom and mix it very well so there aren't any dry pockets hiding in there. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract along with 1 teaspoon of red food coloring. Be careful when using this food coloring, guys. It can stain anything that it splashes on. So here's a tip. When you put it in, mix it by hand for just a little while to get it integrated before you turn your mixer on. That will help prevent any splashes and you won't be staining your nice clothes or your kitchen. And up next, we're going to slowly drizzle in 3/4 of a cup vegetable oil while we continue to mix our batter. Just take your time here and you won't have any issues. Finally, we're going to add in our cup of buttermilk or buttermilk substitute and mix that in until you have a very nice, delicious, fluffy, and moist batter. That's it for our wet ingredients. We're going to go ahead and stop and set this aside while we work on our dry ingredients. Over a large plate, I'm going to set my colander because that's the closest thing that I have to a sieve. If you don't have a colander or sieve, don't worry, you can just measure these ingredients out. It'll be fine. We're going to add in 2½ cups all-purpose flour, along with 2 tablespoons unsweetened cocoa powder, 1/2 teaspoon table salt, and 1 whole teaspoon of baking soda. Now take a note here, when I run this through my colander/sieve, you can see a few chunks left in there, and that's why we went ahead and did this. I like to add my dry ingredients right on top of my wet ingredients in 2 batches. So I'm going to pour half my dry ingredients on top, mix it together, and then add the other half on top and then mix it in. If you have a large enough bowl, you can do this all in one step, but you're going to need a pretty big bowl so you don't make a huge mess. And of course, you want to scrape down the sides and the bottom of the bowl as you're working to make sure there aren't any dry pockets. This recipe will make a total of 24 cupcakes. I really like to use these silicone cupcake liners because nothing sticks to them and they are super easy to use. The best part is you don't actually need to have a cupcake pan in order to use them. We're going to go through and fill them until they're about 4/5 of the way full. You do want to leave a little bit of room at the top so that this cake batter can expand as it cooks. We're going to bake this in a 350-degree oven for about 16 to 21 minutes. But we're going to go ahead and test them to make sure that they're done when we pull them out, so don't worry. These cakes have been baking for about 20 minutes, and I'm going to check to make sure they're done. You can use a wooden skewer, chopstick, toothpick, even a piece of spaghetti will work. Plunge it right into the middle, all the way to the center of your cupcake, and pull it straight out. What you're looking for is to make sure that the skewer is completely clean. You shouldn't see any goopy batter or any large chunks or crumbs sticking on there. This looks great, so we're going to go ahead and let these cool completely to room temperature. And while we wait for them to cool, let's go ahead and make our frosting. For our frosting, I have 1 8-ounce brick of cream cheese, that's at room temperature, and 1½ cups, that's 3 sticks of butter, also at room temperature, that I'm going to put on top. To this, we're going to add a very scant 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt to bring out all those nice flavors, and 1 whole tablespoon of vanilla extract. We're going to beat this very well until it's completely mixed up and nice and fluffy. Once it looks a bit like this, you know you're ready to start adding in your powdered sugar. In total, we're going to add 4 cups, but I'm going to do it in 4 1-cup installments. Put a cup in, mix it very well, then add another cup. Don't forget to give the sides and the bottom a wipe down and give it one final mix. All there is left to do now is taste this and make sure it's as delicious as it looks. Yes, yes, it is that good. With our frosting completely made, you can simply use a spoon or a knife to spread this directly on top of your cupcakes if you'd like. There's nothing wrong with that. However, I'm going to show you how to take this, just a small bag, a cup, and then something that is long and straight like a spatula to make a piping bag at home. Take the spatula here, press it down to the corner of your bag, and then go ahead and plunge that down into your cup. Simply fold back the top of the bag over the edge of the cup just like this and pull it taut. What we're doing here is creating a vessel that we can fill with cream cheese frosting and then use as a piping bag to decorate the top of our cupcakes. With your bag pulled nice and taut, you're going to spoon your cream cheese frosting, which is at room temperature, into your bag, and you want to pack it down fairly well using the back of the spoon so there aren't any large pockets of air in here. Once it's full and you have as much in there as you'd like, we're going to go ahead and pull the bag straight up out of the cup, and then we're going to work the frosting down to the tip by gently squeezing it and just working it down with our hands. As we do this, we want to gently roll the top of the bag like this so that it doesn't work out backwards and we can keep a nice amount of pressure on the lower part of the bag. You should have a tip just like this left over, and that's perfect. What we're going to do is use some scissors and snip the tip just like this to make a makeshift piping bag. Now, I can absolutely show you and teach you how to make a wonderful and delicious recipe, but when it comes to decorating, I'll be honest with you, I'm not that good. These are some simple techniques that I've learned to make decorations that are, well, I would say passable. Now, as I'm decorating these up, I do want to remind you to check out the description below. I always have a written recipe with notes and a bit of more information down there, so definitely check that out. And while you're down there, if you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, and share. I would certainly appreciate it. In fact, this channel recently hit a milestone. I have 500 subscribers, and there's no way I could have done that without your guys' support. Whether you're subscribed or not, I really do want to say thank you so much for watching. I sincerely do appreciate your time today. If you'd like to get a little bit more adventurous and are a bit more creative than I am when it comes to decorating, don't forget that you can take a bowl, put some cream cheese frosting in, a couple of drops of food coloring, and make various colored frostings to decorate up as you'd like. And guys, it really is just that easy to make these delicious red velvet cupcakes in your house tonight, along with a delicious cream cheese frosting. Thank you so much for watching today. I do appreciate your time, and I hope to see you again here next week on the next episode of The Minimalist Gourmet.